Hi everyone, Cindy here. Today I'm going to take you behind the songs from my album, Songs for Rainy Days. So I've been working on this album for about 2 years now, and I feel like this album really encompasses everything that I've been through in my 20s, including all my relationships and all my emotional struggles. If you're having a rainy day or gloomy day, there is definitely going to be a song in this album to cheer you up. But if you just want to sulk and cry on your rainy day and just feel the sadness of the moment, there's definitely a lot of songs in here for that as well. Sonically, I wanted to introduce a lot of orchestral instruments that you don't normally hear in R&B and pop nowadays. So throughout the album, you'll actually hear a lot of live string quartets, as well as a lot of beautiful harp parts. So without further ado, let's dive into the songs. So believe it or not, I wrote this song on a really hot, sunny day in Los Gatos, California. If you haven't noticed already, I don't have a lot of happy love songs, and I don't have a song that just makes you feel warm and cozy inside. I even talk about how I'm so sick of writing all the sad songs, so it's very meta. But this song, in contrast, is about that special someone you think about when you're feeling down, someone who always cheers you up with their smile. This song is really heavily focused on guitar, and I think I've really improved on guitar these last few years, so I really wanted to showcase that. Thank you so much to Your Name Creative for the beautiful production on this track. This is the first song where you'll hear the beautiful strings that you can look forward to throughout the rest of the album. So I wrote this one during quarantine, and I was kind of reminiscing my dating life before the pandemic. And this was about a guy that I casually dated in 2019, and we would always plan to see each other on Wednesdays. I don't know if he was scheduling in other girls for the rest of the week, now that I look back on it. But either way, I was always very excited to see him on Wednesdays, and the song kind of romanticizes the excitement of seeing someone in the middle of a boring work week. After releasing Plastic Love, I knew I wanted to go for a city pop style production for this track, so that's how the song ended up with a lot of funky bass lines and guitar fills. I handed it off to Chad Manalo, who killed it on the production, which also happened really quickly in like 2 weeks. I think this was just an overall really fun, upbeat song, and we all had a lot of fun making it. I wrote this one with my friend Alex Villoria, who is a mind-blowingly amazing singer. I actually found out about him through a YouTube video where he was doing this crazy Jeremy Passion run. I wrote this one about a relationship that I had coming out of college where I was just staying with the person because it felt convenient. It was a long-distance relationship, and throughout it, I lost a lot of connection and attraction to him. But at the same time, it didn't feel right leaving him. It just felt like the most convenient thing to do, to stay with each other and not go through a messy breakup involving all our mutual friends.
And I didn't want to be single again.
There's one line that goes,
like diamond and jade on an iPhone screen. The truth is we're jaded, but no one sees.
So besides the fact that I'm really proud of the pun on the word jade and jaded, this part is about how even though as a couple we look like gems on the outside and on social media, we were just really tired of each other in real life. Because we were staying with each other for so long, even after we didn't feel anything towards each other anymore, it felt like our so-called love was going to waste. In terms of production, I really loved the live string quartet, which made the song a bit softer. I think it really complemented Stephen Tam's really soulful R&B production on this. So for this one, I decided to go back to my jazz roots. This is one of my all-time favorite jazz standards. I decided to work on the production of this myself because I knew I wanted a very specific set of musicians to play on it. I think being a good jazz musician is not only having the chops to stand out when it's your turn, but also taking a backseat, leaving space, and complimenting everyone else's playing when you're not in the spotlight. I did do some scatting on this track, and I hope you enjoy that, as well as everyone else's solos throughout the song. This was a really exciting one for me because I got to work with an artist that I actually listen to a lot. I found out about LambC through a lot of other Korean artists I was listening to at the time, like Sam Kim, Dean, and Hyuko. And that's kind of how I got into the K-indie/K R&B world. My label actually reached out to LambC to ask him to work on Song for Rainy Days with me, but I scratched that idea after I listened to a demo that he sent over called Confession. It was a really simple song with just vocals, acoustic guitar, and rock organ, but the lyrics really stood out to me. I think I was in a similar situation at the time of working on the song where I felt I couldn't express myself fully in the relationship because I was so insecure. The relationship was so fragile, and I felt like I was walking on eggshells. And I felt like at any moment the other person could just get up and leave. So that's why I decided to work on the song, because I was actually living through the lyrics unfortunately. You guys must be wondering who I'm asking to stop messaging me, right? This one is based on a funny story. I was dating someone in late 2019, and somehow his ex-girlfriend found out about me through a lot of careful sleuthing on Instagram and Twitter. She actually started DMing me on Instagram and tried to talk me out of dating her ex, who I assumed that she still had feelings for. Everything went downhill from there, and obviously the relationship between the guy and me didn't work out.
Don't you know you're just one block away?
Here's another pun for you. I mean, she could have been as close as 1 block away with how closely she was stalking me, but at the same time, I could have just blocked her and muted her from all my social media. This one is quite special to me because I ended up doing all the vocal production and vocal mixing for the song. It was also the first track that I released with my label, Cross Ratio. I think my favorite part has got to be the reverse reverb that goes into the BPM change. This section was kind of a pain, but also really fun to work on. One Way Ticket is a song about a long distance relationship. I just have a lot of memories of constantly hunting down plane tickets, waiting for each other at airports and seeing each other only for days at a time, leaving each other and then starting that cycle all over again. I was determined to think that one day the long distance would all end, and then instead of buying a round trip ticket, I would buy a one-way ticket. But until then, I was always counting down the days until we could see each other again. This was the first appearance that a harp made on one of my songs, and I really loved the dainty fairy tale-like element that I had on the track. It was also my first time working with Abe's song for the production, and I think his beautiful piano lines really complemented all the ethereal harp parts. So Disposable was actually the first song that I started working on for the album. I wrote and recorded this all the way back in late 2020, and it actually started as a songwriting challenge where I tried to write a coherent verse using the titles of my favorite jazz standards. This was the third collab that Berkeley and I did together. You probably know him from Moon River. I've had a lot of relationships in my 20s where I left feeling really disposable. I don't know if it's because of the times we're in or if it's because
I make a lot of bad decisions.
but my partners always ended up not wanting to commit fully. And I was always under the impression that if I stayed long enough, I could change the other person and convince them to be on the same page as me. Most likely, people are in situationships because it's the most convenient arrangement until something better comes along. The song kind of acts as a warning or a reminder to myself that at the end of the day, I don't want to feel disposable. And in order to do that, I have to love and respect myself first, and then seek that same love and respect from other people. If you don't know the song or you've never heard of City Pop in your life, I think you need to hop on over to TikTok or YouTube or something
And get with the times.
This is one of my favorite songs, and the song that introduced me to City Pop. I had a lot of fun working on the song and maybe more fun working on the music video. I think I'm most proud of the intro. I don't think people would expect a minimal bossa nova-like start to the song. I just really love the contrast of the super minimal intro to the rest of the song, which is much more lush and upbeat. A huge shout out to Sophie Chung for filming and directing the music video. In contrast to the rest of my songs, this song actually portrays a rebellious, nonchalant woman who doesn't take love seriously and only sees it as a game. So it was really cool to slip into that character for the music video. I put Plastic Love right after Disposable on the album on purpose because instead of being disposable herself, she sees other people as disposable. Or rather, she's fine with the fact that love is disposable. Instead of focusing on the relationships I have with others, Numbers focuses on the relationship that I have with myself, as well as the relationship I have with my work and the art that I create. I always use numbers to measure my growth and value growing up, whether that was with grades, my weight, or even my salary. As I ventured into the music world, I started seeking my self-worth from social media numbers and stream counts. I think my relationship with all these numbers is really toxic and tricky, and even though it might not seem as dramatic or as interesting as the relationships I have with other people, I still really wanted to write about it because it's something I deal with on a daily basis. I had so much fun collaborating with two amazing artists on this one, Kang and Okhissa. I listen to Sarah all the time and am a big fan of her writing, so obviously it was a treat to work with her. It was my first time having a rap verse on one of my songs, and Okhissa completely killed it with his performance. It was really fun venturing into that genre for the first time. I wanted to bring this back in my first album, Voice Memos, because it was the first song that I ever recorded in my bedroom. I think it will always hold a special place in my heart because it was the one song that made me want to release music. The original non-acoustic version has a really heavy R&B beat to it, but I wanted to introduce the stripped-down version to you because this is more similar to the way the song was when I first wrote it. In the theme of feeling disposable and used in relationships, this song is about being the one to get up and leave first if you feel like you're not being valued by your partner. If you already see the relationship as toxic and have the feeling that the other person will leave, then why not leave first? I think this song is another reminder to myself that it's better to walk away first and have respect for myself when I sensed that something was not right in a relationship. So I wanted to write a song about breakups again. But really though, I wanted to write a song about the process of dealing with the memories of someone after the end of a relationship, and about how difficult it is to move on from someone who felt so familiar to you. Thank you to Patrick for the gorgeous production on this one. He came up with the idea of having a vintage projector sound in the beginning, so it feels like the entire song is like an old relationship that is being played out in an old movie. And yes, the harp makes a reappearance in this song, and I love the vintage distortion that's on top of it.
Promise that I will wait for you to catch up on our favorite Netflix shows.
One thing I find really funny is that couples will break into a fight if one person gets ahead in a show that they both watch together. Like, they always have to watch the episodes together or else it feels like betrayal. So these lyrics talks about how her lover moves on, has a new job, a new girlfriend, a new apartment downtown. He's completely moved on to bigger and better things while she's still the same, unable to move on. The message of the song is actually
Very toxic.
you shouldn't stay the same. You should dust yourself off, live your life, and forget about him.
You know I'll always stay the same.
And that's it. That's the end of the album. I really wanted to end that entire album with the little spoken part because it just feels really intimate. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening to all the stories behind the songs, as well as my process of making this album. If you haven't heard the album already, please go and listen to it on all streaming platforms. It's called Songs for Rainy Days. And if you have, you can go listen to it again now that you have the backstory. Take care, and I'll see you guys next time.
For you to see old photos of my family, you playfully took it from me to see the